Hello students, welcome to Diksha Online Mathematics. Let us discuss some synopsis points on complex numbers and properties of triangles. Integral powers of I. So all of you know that I to the power of 0 is 1, I power 1 is I square is minus 1, I cube is minus I, again I power 4 is 1. So from that I can say that I power n, if you write that n as a multiple of 4 plus some remainder, this r can be either 0, 1, 2, 3, no? So that will be the new power, I power r. So you can find any I power. Sum of the four consecutive powers means I power n plus I power n plus 1 plus I power n plus 2 plus I power n plus 3 is always 0. Is always 0. Modulus and conjugate of a complex number. So that is a complex number. Modulus is denoted by mod z and conjugate z bar. So mainly I will discuss the combined properties of these two. The very important property is zz bar is mod z. You know mod z is the distance from origin to the z. So that how to calculate z into z bar, which is mod z whole square. So modulus of z will be under root of zz bar. So to calculate modulus of any complex number, square root of the complex number with its product of z and z bar, make to the square root of it. Then you will get modulus of z. The next important property related to this is mod of z1 plus z2 whole square. This is the main property. The first property is the main property. So if I can write this as z1 plus z2 into z1 bar plus z2 bar. If you expand, you will get mod z1 square plus mod z2 square plus 2 into real part of z1 bar z2 or z1 z2 bar, your wish. And modulus of z1 plus or minus z2 always lie between modulus of individual moduli to sum of the moduli. Means the minimum value of mod of z1 plus z2 or mod of z1 minus z2 is the difference between individual moduli, and the maximum value is sum of the individual moduli. You know that modulus means distance from origin to complex number, and the amplitude means if x plus iy is the complex number and r is the modulus, then sin theta equal to y by r, cos theta is x by r, theta between minus pi to pi. Any one should be open, any one should be closed, your wish. Such theta is called amplitude. So using that, any complex number z can be expressed as r into cis theta. I think you know that cis theta is cos theta plus I sin theta. So this r is called modulus, this theta is called amplitude. This is called trigonometric form, polar form, lot of names are there. And you know that there is a Euler's formula, e power I theta equal to cis theta. So the same complex number r into cis theta can be expressed as r into e power I theta. So complex number can be seen in different forms. that A plus IB form or X plus IY form is called rectangular form. This is called modam form or a trigonometric form or polar form, Euler form, and there is a form called geometric form. Suppose Z is X plus IY, I will take a point P whose affix is Z, means the real part and imaginary parts can be taken as X coordinate and Y coordinate, and you can represent like this. Let P of Z, where Z is a complex number which denotes the point P, we call that as affix. Then from origin, if you join this will be a position vector in two-dimensional geometry. So that X plus IY can be said as xi cap plus yj cap. So you have vector form also. You have a geometrical form because complex number denotes a point in the 2D plane. And this is called modam form and this is called Euler's form. Euler's form is useful in finding logarithm of a complex number. Geometrical representation of complex numbers. Already as I discussed, geometry is nothing but complex numbers is a point. So in that, how to understand addition and subtraction? Observe carefully. Suppose if I have Z1 here, some A of Z1, A is a point whose affix is Z1, and this is B of Z2. So I want to see Z1 plus Z2 sum. So if you join these two, you know that midpoint will be Z1 plus Z2 by 2. Means midpoint is a point whose affix is Z1 plus Z2 by 2. From origin, if I join that midpoint and double it, means how much length you extend it. Since this midpoint is Z1 plus Z2 by 2, this must be Z1 plus Z2. So please observe carefully. This is like parallelogram law of addition of vectors. Now, suppose if I want to see Z1 minus Z2, then what I should do? For Z2, we should see the additive inverse, which is nothing but minus Z2. Then if you join Z1 and minus Z2, its midpoint will be Z1 minus Z2 by 2. Then join origin to that point and extend it, it will be Z1 minus Z2. Geometrical representation, multiplication and division. So when Z1 into Z2 you want to see in multiplication. So Z1 will be something like R1 cis theta 1 you take. Z2 will be R2 cis theta 2. Then the new modulus is R1 R2. And you know that cis theta 1 cis theta 2 is cis of theta 1 plus theta 2. So what is happening? Suppose if you have Z1, you are multiplying Z2 means already the amp is theta 1. It will rotate through an angle theta 2. Now this length will be mod Z1 only. Then to that length you have to multiply R2. So according to R2 its length may decrease or increase. Then that will be Z1 Z2. See, I am saying it may increase or decrease. So one thing we should understand here, when Z1 is multiplied to Z2, Z1 will rotate through an angle which is equal to amp of Z2, or Z2 will rotate through an angle which is equal to amp of Z1, your wish. And according to R1, R2, you have to select the complex number on that new location. Now when Z1 by Z2, if you want to see, it is nothing but Z1, Z2 inverse. So to understand Z2 inverse, we should understand conjugate. I think you know that for Z, additive inverse is the mirror image with respect to origin, and Z bar is the mirror image with respect to x-axis. Because Z inverse is nothing but 1 by Z, no? So can I say Z inverse as Z bar by mod Z square? Because Z inverse is 1 by Z, Z bar is mod Z square, no? So what I should do? This Z bar, Z inverse is nothing but it will lie on Z bar only. But there is a length difference, magnitude difference. So 1 by mod z square into z bar will give you z inverse. Geometry of complex numbers. Here I want to discuss, already I told about what is geometry, but here I want to tell you very important thing. Suppose if I take two complex numbers z2 and z1, this is a of z1, b of z2, I want to join them, and this is ab bar vector. Now if I shift parallelly to origin, means I want to make this vector parallel shift so that initial point is at origin. What will happen? Now let us observe carefully. If you join z1 from origin, that is the position vector of z1, and additive inverse I want to take, which is minus z1. Then I will join z2 and minus z1, and I will take its midpoint. I will join from origin because this will be z2 minus z1. Then I will make it double. Then this is nothing but z2 minus z1. Please observe the parallel shift. So is it z2 minus z1 vector is coming here or not? Then if you observe carefully, modulus of z2 minus z1, actually z2 minus z1 represents this vector z2 minus z1 is nothing but distance from origin to z2 minus z1. Absolutely correct. But now it is also equal to distance between z1 and z2 also, because these two vectors are equal, no? So their magnitudes will be equal, their directions will be equal. That's why modulus of z2 minus z1 can be understood as distance between z1 and z2 complex numbers. Similarly, suppose we have z1, z2, some z3 is there here. Then this is the vector z3 minus z1, this is the vector z2 minus z3 minus z2, terminal minus initial. Then this is, let us say, theta. Same, by parallel shifting we can show that z3 minus z1, your wish, co-terminal or co-initial. Suppose if you want to write z1 minus z3 by z2 minus z3, so argument of this or amp of this, see z3 is the common point, z1 z2 line segment is making it z3, the angle theta. So these two things are very important to understand locus problems. Now Coni's method. See, Coni's method is nothing but rotation of a complex number. That is nothing but by multiplication only we are getting that rotation. So let us understand what does it mean. Suppose I have a complex number z1 and I have a complex number z2. I have a complex number z3. Now this is z3 minus z2 vector and this is z1 minus z2 vector. Now how to link them? Listen carefully what I am doing. So z3 minus z1 vector, if I multiply z3 minus z1 vector, if I multiply, suppose angle is theta, cis theta, then it will rotate anti-clockwise direction. Then if you divide this with the magnitude of z3 minus z1, so what I'll get a unit vector along this z1 minus z2, this is z3 minus z2, no? Again I'm telling z3 minus z2 vector multiplied cis theta, it will turn like this is theta, and this theta already we discussed, it is argument of z3 minus z2 by z1 minus z2. So what I am doing, z3 minus z2 vector I am rotating by multiplying with cis theta. Then if I do modulus of z3 minus z2, what I'll get a unit vector that unit vector, if I multiply with modulus of z1 minus z2, I will get the required z1 minus z2 vector. So this is very, very important. So z1 minus z2 vector I want. So what I am doing, z3 minus z2 vector, I am rotating with by multiplying cis theta. So if I multiply with cis theta, the vector will rotate through an angle theta in anticlockwise direction, making unit vector. Then multiplied with required magnitude, you will get required vector. This is very, very important technique of rotation of complex numbers. So locus. See all the locus concepts, because complex number is a point in 2D plane. So suppose let P be a point whose affix is z, that is x comma y, or you can take complex number x plus iy as denoted by x comma y. Let arbitrary point is P whose affix is z. Suppose if I say like this, z minus z1 equal to z minus z, moduli, both sides moduli. So try to understand this in the geometrical way, that is Cartesian way. Can I say PA equal to PB, where this Z1 and Z2 are fixed points AB, Z is a moving point, so PA equal to PB. What is the locus of Z? What is the locus of P? So locus of Z is nothing but locus of P. So can I say it's the perpendicular bisector of the line segment AB? So try to see any complex equation into the geometrical form, you will understand locus very easily. Suppose if I say mod of z minus z1 whole square plus mod of z minus z2 whole square equal to mod of z1 minus z2 whole square. So can I say it is PA square plus PB square equal to AB square? So AB is subtending 90 degrees at P. So locus of P will be a circle with AB as diameter. So similarly, lot of concepts. See like suppose mod of z minus z1 by z minus z2 equal to some k. So if k equal to 1, again line segment, sorry, perpendicular bisector, but here in this structure z cannot take z2. If k equal not equal to 1, you will get a circle. See in any standard books, some standard locus will be there. No need to by heart, try to understand them. Some more. So mod of z minus z1 plus mod of z minus z2 equal to k. If you remember, this is nothing but PA plus PB equal to k. If k is less than AB, no locus. If k equal to AB, what is if k equal to AB? Line segment AB. If k greater than AB, ellipse. So like that hyperbola also you have. And with the amplitudes also we can have. Suppose the amplitude of z minus z1 by z minus z2 equal to 0 or pi. What does it mean? At z, the line segment z1 and z2. So z1 and z2 are 2 points. At z, it is making either 0 or pi. Suppose if I take a point z in the internal dividing point, then what is z minus z1? Z minus z1. So terminal minus initial, z minus z1. Z minus z2. So terminal minus initial. So if I take z inside, they are opposite direction vertices, so angle will be pi. So if it is 0 means z will be externally dividing point. So can I say locus of z will be internally dividing or externally dividing points? But please observe, I am giving amp. So if z is z1, amp of 0 not defined. If z is z2, this division is not defined. So it is the locus of the z is the line, total line joining z1 and z2, but except the point z1 and z2. So like this, you can learn all the locus points, some standard results you can remember. De Moivre's theorem. So De Moivre's theorem says that cis theta whole power n is equal to cis n theta. This n you can take integers. Now what will be cis theta whole power p by q? This is very, very important. So can I write this as cis theta whole power p whole to the power of 1 by q. So which is nothing but cis p theta whole to the power of 1 by q. So you know that cis p theta whole power 1 by q will have q values. They are called qth roots of cis p theta. Qth roots of cis p theta. So they can be evaluated like this. Cis 2k pi plus p theta is generalizing the amplitude divided by that q, where k can be any q consecutive values. Any q is the best values are taken is 0, 1 to up to q minus 1. Say I am telling any q consecutive values. Start from 100, take q consecutive values, k values. Because after these q consecutive values, again the same values will repeat. Again the same values will repeat. That's why any q consecutive values you can take for k. This is de Moivre's theorem for any power, any rational power. If it is integer, you will have only one answer. If it is rational, you will have q answers. Q answers. Cube roots of unity. You know that cube roots of unity you can develop using de Moivre's theorem or normal procedure also. So if you learn with de Moivre's theorem, it will be easy for you, which is 1 power 1 by 3 now. So you should write 1 as cis 0 mod m form. Then x equal to cis 0. First you have to make general solutions for amplitude 2k pi plus 0 by 3, and I said k should be any 3 consecutive values. So if you substitute k equal to 0, 1, 2, you will get 1 minus 1 plus I root 3 by 2 minus 1 minus I root 3 by 2, and you know that they are called omega and omega square. So there are a lot of properties for 1 omega omega square. Their sum is 0, their product is 1, because they are the roots of cubic equation x cube minus 1 equal to 0. So you can apply theory of equations to understand all those properties. The cube roots of unity are in GP with common ratio omega. If you keep them in Argand plane or Argand diagram or Gaussian plane, it forms an equilateral triangle, and they lie on the unit circle with center at origin, dividing the circumference of the circle into 3 equal parts. The ramps will be in arithmetic progression. See, a lot of properties will be there. And one more important property I want to tell you. 1 is here, omega is here, omega square is here. Please remember, 1 is on positive x-axis, 1 is on positive x-axis, omega is here, omega square is here. If you keep real cube root aside, the imaginary cube roots, if you observe, there are a lot of relations again between them. One is the reciprocal of other, one is the conjugate of other, one is the reciprocal of other, one is the conjugate of other, one is the square of other. See, I am speaking for cube roots. Generalization also we will do now. So if I go to nth roots of unity, nth roots of unity, same thing. What we will do? We will take x power n equal to 1. When x power n equal to 1, you will write x equal to 1 power 1 by n, which is nothing but cis 2k pi by n. This k value will be 0, 1, 2, so on up to n minus 1. If you represent them with 1, alpha, alpha square, so on, alpha power n minus 1. These are the nth roots of unity. Please remember, if n is odd, what will happen? If n is odd, you will have one real root and remaining even number of imaginary roots. What will happen that imaginary roots all will be on the unit circle again. One is here, and including 1, they will divide the circumference into equal parts. They are in GP, their amplitudes are in AP, all common features will be there. Then suppose here is alpha is there, exactly its conjugate alpha power n minus 1 will be there. Means this is nothing but alpha bar, and this is nothing but alpha power n minus 1 bar. So similarly alpha square, here alpha power n minus 2. And one more thing I want to tell you, their product will be 1. Means they are reciprocals to each other, they are conjugates to each other. See, I told you 1 is here, no? Even number. Suppose n is odd, 101 roots of unity. 1 is here, so remaining will be 100. So 50 will be spreaded up and 50 will be down. So 50 will be this side, 50 will be this side. And I'm linking them. If you keep one aside, I'm linking the remaining ones. And please observe, 1 is the n minus 1th power of other. 1 is the conjugate of other. 1 is the reciprocal of other. Suppose if n is even. If n is even. Remember, for that, what will happen? 1 will be there and minus 1 will be there. 2 real roots will be there. Again, left over n minus 2 will be even again. So they will be spreaded equally in the upper side of the circle and lower side of the circle with same features. So please remember, lot of properties will be linked to nth roots of unity. Then straight line and complex slope. The general equation of a straight line is in the complex form is az bar plus a bar z plus b equal to 0. Remember, a is a complex number, a bar denotes its conjugate, and b is the real number. This is a general equation of a straight line. And complex slope is defined as minus a by a naught, a bar, minus a by a bar. So this you can understand like this. Suppose z1 and z2 are 2 points. Please remember, z1, z2 are 2 points. If you convert them into geometry, x1, y1, x2, y2, its real slope is x2, y2 minus y1 by x2 minus x1. But there another word I am introducing now, z1 minus z2 by its conjugate, z1 minus z2 whole bar. This will result into another complex number. Means again a point. This point is called complex slope. When equation is given, this is a complex slope. When points are given, this is a complex slope. And please remember, if two lines are parallel, complex slopes are equal. If two lines are perpendicular, sum of the complex slopes will be 0. Sum of the complex slopes will be 0. There is a non-parametric form and parametric forms are there. Suppose if z1, z2 are 2 points on a line, then if z is a arbitrary point, 1 minus lambda into z1 plus lambda z2 is called parametric form. By using section formula, you can understand this. Similarly, if z1, z2, z3 are 3 collinear points, then modulus of z1, z1 bar j1, z2, z2 bar 1, z3, z3 bar 1, determinant will be 0. Actually, in place of z1, z2 or z3, z3 bar, if I use zz bar, I'll get the equation of the straight line passing through z1 and z2. If z3 is a point on the line, the determinant value will be 0. And this is called non-parametric form. This is called general form. And this is complex slope. This is called parametric form. See, at least you should be aware of these minimum things regarding straight lines. Then circle. You know that circle, suppose you have a center at Z0, radius is R, let us say. Then can I say if Z is any arbitrary point on the circle, according to the definition, modulus of Z minus Z bar Z0 must be equal to R. Then if you simplify, it will take ZZ bar plus AZ bar plus A bar Z plus B equal to 0, where A will be minus Z0 and that value of B, if you observe, it will be mod Z0 square minus R square. So this is called general form of a circle. General form of a circle. So the applications we can use in trigonometric expansions. The very simple technique I'll tell you. Suppose cis theta whole power n if I take, which is nothing but cos theta plus I sin theta whole to the power of n. If I use left side, this is cis n theta, which is de Moivre's theorem, and right side nc0 cos power n theta minus nc2 cos power n minus 2 theta sin square theta plus so on, this is the real part, plus I times nc1 cos power n minus 1 theta sin theta, because I took I common, minus nc3 cos power n minus 3 theta sin cube theta plus so on. So if we equate the real part, this first bracket will be cos n theta expansion, this second bracket will be sin n theta expansion. So in multiple submultiples you will learn cos 2 theta, sin 2 theta values. Now you are able to develop cos n theta directly, sin n theta directly by using de Moivre's theorem and mixing it with binomial theorem. So I can say this is cos multiple angles, sin multiple angles in the power functions of cos and sin. Similarly, there is a reverse way. The reverse way is, suppose if I take x equal to cis theta, then you know that 1 by x will be cis of minus theta. X power n will be cis n theta. 1 by x power n will be cis of minus n theta. Then what will be x plus 1 by x? 2 cos theta. X minus 1 by x, 2i sin theta. Then x power n plus 1 by x power n is 2 cos n theta. X power n minus 1 by x power n is 2i sin n theta. If you remember, this is very easy. Now what I will do, suppose if I take x plus 1 by x whole power, something like, let us say 4. Example I am telling. Whenever plus is there, I am going to generate, so it is 2 cos theta, no? So 2 cos theta whole power 4 means I am going to generate cos power 4 theta. The power functions in terms of multiples. In the previous discussion, multiples in terms of power functions. Now here power functions in terms of multiple functions. So 2 cos theta whole power 4 will be. Now what you have to do, you have to apply binomial theorem. So 4c0 x power 4 and last term will be 4c4 1 by x power 4, no? So you have to combine like that. Then 4c1 x cube into 1 by x. So 4 times x square and last but 1 x square plus 4c2 x square into 1 by x square will be 6. Then again this will be converted into 2 cos 4 theta, 2 cos 2 theta. That's why cos power 4 theta in terms of cos 4 theta, cos 2 theta you are developing. Suppose if I take x minus 1 by x, I will generate sin power 4. So please remember, if you mix de Moivre's theorem with binomial theorem, you can develop multiple angles into powers, powers into multiple angles. Okay, that is about complex numbers. Let us see properties of triangles. Sine rule, cosine rule, Mollwitz rule and tangent rule. They are very simple rules. I think everybody know. Just I will recap. A by sin A equal to B by sin B equal to c by sin c equals to 2r. Please try to learn rules not with symbols ABC. In any triangle, side divided by sine of its opposite angle. That is the logic here. That ratio with respect to all sides will be equal to circumdiameter of that triangle. Circle will be there, no? Its diameter. That is called sine rule. And mainly cosine rule will be used to find the angles when sides are given. So cos A is b square plus c square minus a square by 2bc. Similarly cos b cos c. And Molevid's rules are very, very important. A plus b by c, they are the applications of sine rule only. So cos of a minus b by 2 by sin c by 2. Similarly, if you have a minus b by c, sine ka function, cos function interchanges. Remaining things will be same. And tangent rule. Again, tangent rule is application of sine rule only, which is tan of a minus b by 2 will be a minus b by a plus b cot c by 2. Tangent rule is also named as Napier's analogy. Projection rule, half angle formulas, area of triangle. So projection rules, I think you know A equal to b cos c plus c cos b. Similarly, small b small c with respect to A and C. Half angle formulas are very, very important. Sin A by 2 will be equals to under root of s minus b into s minus c by bc. Similarly, sin b by 2 sin c by 2 you can write. And cos A by 2 is nothing but under root of s into s minus a by bc. By using this, you can generate Heron's formula, delta equal to s into s minus a into s minus b into s minus c. So you have a lot of formulae for delta. You have to learn all the formulae. 2r square sin a sin b sin c, abc by 4 capital R, half a p1, half b p2, half c p3 is a basic formula, half base into height, where p1, p2, p3 are nothing but the altitudes. So this delta you have using in circle also, small r into s, where s is the semi-perimeter, r1 into s minus a, r is the in radius, r1 is x radii, r2, r3 also, they are x radii opposite to capital A, capital B, capital C. So delta, you have many number of formulae. Please learn all those. In circle. In circle, you know that is nothing but small r. Small r is in radius, which is area by semi-perimeter. And you have using lengths of tangents also, s minus a tan a by 2, s minus b tan b by 2, s minus c tan c by 2, and you have a by cot b by 2 plus cot c by 2. Similarly, you have b by c by same cot a by 2 plus cot c by 2. Similarly, c by, and you have this as 4 capital R sin a by 2, sin b by 2, sin c by 2. So every formula is important in doing problems. Where which formula we have to use, that is very, very important. That comes with practice. Then X circle. So you know, if triangle ABC is there, if you extend the sides of the triangle, one internal angular bisector and two external angular bisectors are concurrent. One internal angular bisector and two external angular bisectors. So this is internal angle bisector, this is another internal angle bisector. Then you know that this is in center and this will be eccentric. Suppose if it is A, B, C, this is I2, I3. If you observe carefully, I1, I2, I3 is also a triangle called eccentric triangle. And if you observe, this is a by 2, this is 90 minus a by 2, that's why this is 90 degrees. So triangle ABC is the pedal triangle of I1, I2, I3. Whereas I1, I2, I3 is the eccentric triangle of triangle ABC. Here again you will be having some set of formula R1 equal to delta by S minus A. Using length of tangents S tan A by 2. Length of tangent from A to the X circle will be S. Then using S minus B cot C by 2. S minus C cot B by 2. 4 capital R sin A by 2 cos B by 2 cos C by 2. So the last formula links with capital R. Similarly, you can write for R2 and R3. Now lengths of medians, lengths of altitudes, lengths of angular bisectors. They are the formulae. Suppose length of median from A will be half under root 2b square plus 2c square minus a square. So from A means minus a square, you remember. From B means half under root 2a square plus 2c square minus b square. Like that you learn length of medians. Then next, length of altitudes. So I think all of you know that ABC altitude you can write P1, no, 2 delta by A. So you can use this formula. Delta is nothing but half AC sin B you can use by A to cancel this 2 C sin B. C you can write 2R sin C. So 2R sin B sin C. See, these are the all different formula you can generate. You should be able to generate. So main thing, if you by heart remember, you can generate other formula. And if it is the orthocenter, the parts of the orthocenter. So this is AH. This length will be 2R cos A. So other part will be 2R cos B cos C, and total length will be 2R sin B sin C. These are the altitudes lengths. Then lengths of angular bisectors. So angular bisector of AB formula is 2BC by B plus C cos A by 2. See, there is a rhythm in every formula. Try to understand. Angular bisector of angle A is 2BC by B plus C cos A by 2. Then you can write angular bisector of angle B, no, 2AC by A plus C cos B by 2. Like that you can learn angular bisectors. Now, pedal triangle elements. See, elements means, you know, 3 angles, 3 sides of a triangle are called elements. Actually, elements in any 3 elements except 3 angles. So if any other elements, 3 elements are given, solving a triangle means getting other 3 elements is called solving a triangle. So a lot of problems will be framed on this work only. So for pedal triangle, if you observe the lengths, what are the lengths of the pedal triangle? Suppose if let ABC is a triangle, AD. So let D is the foot of the perpendicular, E is the foot of perpendicular from B, F is the foot of the perpendicular from C. Then this DEF triangle is called pedal triangle. Now, what are the sides? Sides of the pedal triangle will be A cos A, B cos B, C cos C. Remember, they are the sides. Side opposite to capital A, that will be A cos A, B cos B, C cos C. There is a rhythm, please observe carefully. Then angle opposite to A, that will be, angles will be 180 minus 2A, 180 minus 2B, 180 minus 2C. So these are the 3 angles, these are the 3 angles and 3 sides. So 6 elements are available. When the 6 elements are with you, you can find any other lengths. Like suppose if you want, what is the circumradius of the pedal triangle? So circumradius of the pedal triangle, you can use sine rule. for the pedal triangle to obtain. So any other thing you can calculate if you remember these 6 elements. Then excentral triangle. Excentral triangle figure already have shown. Here I want to tell you the angles of excentral triangle are 90 minus a by 2, 90 minus b by 2, 90 minus c by 2. These are the angles. And the sides of the excentral triangle are 4 capital R cos a by 2, 4 capital R cos b by 2, 4 capital R cos c by 2. These are the sides. So again I am telling, if you remember the 6 elements, you can find area of the excentral triangle, circumradius of the excentral triangle, everything you can find. This is very, very important. Some standard results. I think most of you know 1 by R1 plus 1 by R2 plus 1 by R3 is 1 by R1, R2, R3 is delta square. R1 plus R2 plus R3 minus small r 4 capital R. So like this you have standard results. Please learn all these results so that you can do the problems in properties of triangles very fast. But please remember, as there are a lot of formulae, which formula you have to use is very, very important. So that comes with practice. So please do practice, then use these formulas perfectly. You can do the chapter very easily. Thank you.